10 o'clock, welcome in. It's the Thursday edition of Three Man Front. Landrum, Pat, Conrad, and Molly. We've got a big show planned, but we'd be remiss if we did not recognize the significance of today being September 11th and what happened 24 years ago in this country, and also remiss without going too much into detail about the tragedy that happened yesterday in the state of Utah. A lot of emotions, I know, from a lot of Americans, most Americans, and a lot of our listeners. So we don't want to gloss over that. We're not going to spend very much time on it. But just a reminder, and this is something that Charlie Kirk's wife posted, I believe, yesterday, and it was Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. And I know a lot of folks are probably leaning into the word Pat Smith this morning and word yesterday, and trying to find some of that solace and some of that comfort, because there's, as I said, a lot of different emotions going on with individuals across this country and across our listening area.
It was a very sad day yesterday, to go without saying, in this country, what took place, where someone cannot exercise their First Amendment right without facing potential death. That's a very sad case, no matter what side of the aisle you declare yourself on. It was a very disturbing afternoon, and as today, as Landrum mentioned, I was on the air 24 years ago on this date in which our nation was attacked, and all the first responders and all the people that gave their lives to try to save other Americans. So, yeah, it's a day of reflection on many different fronts. And yes, we are going to talk football, but that's pretty insignificant based on what this day represents and what our country is facing on a daily basis. So we welcome your input, as we always do on this show, because this is your show. This is not our show. This is 100% you, the audience, and you guys dictate what we talk about, how much we want to talk about it, and that's what we're here for. So if we want to talk football for 4 hours, we're here for that. If you would like to reflect on things that have taken place in this country, we're here for that as well. So just know that 1-800-239-WJOX is your phone number. The text line is open, brought to you by Courtesy GMC at 205-834-9450. As Landrum mentioned, we will get into football. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we will go to Gainesville, Florida. We'll find out the very latest of what's going on with the University of Florida football team as they get ready for a very big SEC matchup down in Baton Rouge against the LSU Bengal Tigers. Next hour, Rodney Orr will join the program. As it's been reported this morning, that no big surprise, but Wisconsin is going to be without their starting quarterback for the game against Alabama, which we knew anyway, but now it's being reported everywhere else that their backup will be the starting quarterback against the Tide. Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, he will be on the program coming up at 11:45. And the Southern Gentleman, Brett Norsworthy from WHBQ Radio and the Ole Miss Radio Network. The Rebels have a big game coming up this weekend as they'll be hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks. You know, you think about last year when they scored 63 points against Arkansas. That was the most points that an Ole Miss Rebel football team has ever scored against an SEC opponent.
That's a lot of points against a directional school, much less an SEC team.
Yeah, but to do that in conference play, so we'll see if Austin Simmons can not throw the ball to the other team, and we'll see if
let's start there.
Yeah, we could start there, but Arkansas's offense, it has been purring right along for them. Alabama and Auburn getting ready for home games, and then Alabama's going to take a week off, and then they got a big one in conference play against Georgia. Meanwhile, the first time ever, South Alabama is going to face off with the Auburn Tigers down on the plains. Last night, it was Hey Coach, the weekly radio show of Kalen DeBoer. And based on what I heard, Conrad, last night, really nothing big coming out of Hey Coach. Kalen DeBoer did mention that he told the players after Saturday's win, we better be keeping the pain of what happened in week one internally. He said they've done a good job not letting that pain fade off. It's just one game, and one game that we should win.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my takeaway was you're just kind of reinforcing the message that we got after the ULM game, which was, hey, We went out there, we executed, had a good week of preparation, but now we got to clean the slate, start over on Sunday, and do that again for the Wisconsin game. So it seems like, again, they're saying the right things. Their head is in the right space, so we'll see how it looks on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. But yeah, nothing crazy because we had already given you the injury news that Ryan Williams expected to play. Tim Keenan, Jam Miller going to be game time decisions, so we knew all that kind of going into the show already last night.
And I think the Vegas line was already baked in regards to the Wisconsin quarterback situation because most of the time when you see a Vegas line, it's going to move based on a starting quarterback. Matter of fact, sometimes they will even pull a line off the board if they believe a starting quarterback is questionable or not available to play in the game. But right now it is sitting at 20.5 as Alabama's the favorite. So it has not moved at all, even with that information coming out this morning.
With all due respect, short of Wisconsin rolling out John Mateer, it
not gonna matter a whole lot.
It doesn't really change things in my eyes, and probably the folks in Vegas's eyes too that set the lines.
Yeah, and we went over that yesterday. Just the historic. It can always happen because no one thought Vanderbilt would beat Alabama last year. But all the things that would have to happen for Wisconsin to win on Saturday, and from a historic standpoint, the things that they haven't done as a football program on the road against ranked opponents, against an SEC ranked opponent, and then coming into a building where Alabama has not lost for 85 consecutive games against a non-ranked opponent. There's just a lot of things that stacked up against it.
And it starts with quarterback play, whether it was a performance, a gutsy performance by Diego Pavia in Vanderbilt's win over Alabama, or whether it was Jackson Arnold and Norman.
Or Travis Knight, or just go out throughout history.
Johnny Manziel.
He is not a mobile quarterback at Wisconsin, so you're going to be okay.
Probably. Yeah, Johnny Manziel, Nick Marshall, let's bring them all up.
There's been a lot of them, to be fair.
Yeah, there was definitely a stereotype of the quarterback that was able to beat Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And now you can kind of throw that out with Kalen DeBoer because it's just a
touchdown Tommy Castellanos.
Yep.
Jackson Arnold.
But the good news
Diego
is
Pavia.
Gus isn't calling plays for the Badgers. It'll be all right.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Fickle could be on the hot seat.
I was about to say, we'll see how it goes on Saturday.
That's going to be the new scandal. Gus was on Teams with their press box during the game. Yeah, they don't have a Thomas Castellanos.
I was about to say, why is your quarterback not running real fast? This is what we called.
That play works a lot better when he's fast.
Yeah.
So on 3 Sports, Pete Nakos just a few moments ago, they have just updated their coaches that are on a potential hot seat. First question in my office by Conrad. Is Kalen DeBoer still on it? It's like, no, Conrad, he's not.
Cheer up, sport.
I'm just saying it's funny how quickly a week changes things.
Well, you beat La Monroe and shut them out. Now, if you listen to Joel Klatt, Alabama's still in trouble.
But this is why I love college football, especially in the early season, is how much our minds change and perception of teams change from week to week. It slows down as the season goes on because you have a bigger sample size. But I think of Georgia differently now than I did maybe a couple of weeks ago. Heck, I think of Alabama a little bit differently than I did even a week ago.
I was about to say, I feel differently about LSU than I did a week ago.
So Pete Nakos, he does not rank the coaches like say, okay, here's the guy that's on the hottest seat, the next guy, whatever the case may be. But he lists, no big surprise, Billy Napier. It's the first name on the list. Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
Britt Pry.
Mm-hmm.
David Braun at Northwestern.
Yeah.
If I had $1 million right here and I said, Landrum, tell me the name of the head coach of Northwestern, for that $1 million, could you have guessed it?
I'd have said Pat Fitzgerald's replacement.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, and who did they get to play this week?
And to be completely honest, I would have said the exact same thing you did if the offer was reciprocated on the other end.
Yeah.
So that's not me trying to say you don't know football. I'm just saying I didn't know that David Braun was the head coach at Northwestern.
No, I can name MAC head coaches. I cannot name Northwestern.
Not Northwestern.
It's just not very important. Stanford, they just said not really sure what Andrew Luck's going to do there with Frank Reich or, It
feels like a 1 year kind of
stopgap.
Yeah.
Hey,
they got a lot of issues.
You're a friend. There. I can trust you. Come in, figure it out, and then we're going to.
Correct.
Yeah, we're going to
give you a nice payday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the final name on the list by Pete Nakos is Trent Dilfer down at UAB. just going to read you exactly what he wrote. Trent Dilfer's team sits at 1-1 through 2 weeks of play. A year ago, there was going to be thought that UAB would move on from Dilfer, but he was brought back for a third season. The Blazers are 8-18 under the former NFL quarterback and ESPN commentator. UAB hosts Akron this week before visiting Tennessee in week 4. He has a $2.4 million buyout.
I like him this week at home. I think they've got a great chance to go 2-1 on the season. Tennessee next week, that's going to be a challenge. And then some of the other teams that have emerged. South Florida, that game looks differently now than it did. Got a game at Rice, at Tulsa. I think those are both winnable games. And then you look at North Texas, some of the other teams on that schedule. But I think that this is a better team inside and out. I think the culture of the team is better. I think the defense is showing a lot of signs of improvement, though the yardage and the points would not indicate in the first 2 weeks. I can see it because I've seen every single game from the sideline of the Trent Dilfer era. So here's to winning.
The other thing that NACO's pointed out on all of these guys, Florida's buyout of Billy Napier, if they fire him, is $20.4 million. Gundy is $15 million. Brent Pry is $6 million. Northwestern, if they want to make a change, is their head coach.
$500,000.
$850,000.
Hey, not to get a sidetrack, but I did want to go back to something we were talking about yesterday, and it was potential replacements at Florida. And we were talking about James Franklin, a new contract that he had signed, and it's a massive, massive buyout. If Penn State fires him, if he elects to take another job, it's a $2 million, what they call professional fee that he has to pay Penn State, but he's off scot-free according to what I read on the contract.
So Florida would have to write a $2 million check to Penn State, essentially.
Yeah.
So you got $20.4 million to get rid of Billy Napier. And then if you want Franklin, that's another $2 million. And then you'll have to get rid of all of his assistant coaches and then bring all of Franklin's people, whoever he wants in. So it would be a lot cheaper than the $100 million that Alabama would have to pay to get rid of Kalen DeBoer and his coaches and then go elsewhere and try to buy somebody else out and bring them into T-Town.
I was about to say, also known as half of what it would take to get rid of Kalen DeBoer and change in Tuscaloosa. Yeah. I think Florida can do that.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jock. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com.
We've got a little bit of time to take your phone calls and read your text messages. We will go to Gainesville, Florida, coming up at the bottom of the hour. This is the Thursday edition of Three Man Front. Welcome back into Three Man Front. Pat Smith along with Landrum Roberts, Molly Robinson, Conrad Van Order. Taking your phone calls at 1-800-239-WJOX. The courtesy GMC text line is 205-834-9450.
Yeah, we'll get to some of your texts. A lot of you weighing in on today, the remembrance and recognition of what happened 24 years ago across this country, but also what happened yesterday. We'll get to those texts right now. Guys, thank you for spending a few moments this morning coming on and talking about the events of yesterday and September 11th. Conrad did a phenomenal job on Morning Jocks as well. Not sure why the other show did not discuss. Maybe I missed it. Thank you all for who you are and what you stand for, praying for our country. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the kind words, and we're right there with you, praying for our country.
And let me echo those sentiments. I was listening this morning, and Conrad did a phenomenal job. Just raw emotion and talking about the situation that took place yesterday and what it means to be an American. So, yeah, major kudos to Conrad this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Another text and sending in, and this is from our friend Bama Hater. He said, I disagreed with 99.9% of Charlie Kirk and what he stood for, but he didn't deserve what happened to him, nor does any other human being. The lies, rhetoric, misinformation that stems from all in D.C. and divides people in our country is a direct cause for a lot of what's going on in America. It's sad, but the Bible says it won't get any better. May God bless his wife, kids, and family. Thank you, Bama Hater. We appreciate you chiming in as well. And JJ says, my hat's off to you guys for recognizing Charlie Kirk. I know this is not a political show, but I know where you guys stand in your faith, so I was hoping you would. You're truly an audience-led program. That's why y'all are number one. Thank you, JJ. We appreciate you sharing that as well.
Yeah, JJ, I mean, I said that at the very beginning. I mean, that's one of the tenets of this program. Other shows can do what they want to do, and they can talk about what they want to. I'm not concerned about other shows or other podcasts. The only thing I'm concerned with is what you hear from 10 to 2 every single day on this program. And the way that I was brought up, the way that I've been in this business for 33 years now, that is the main bottom common denominator of what I believe is the success of a real talk show. It's your show. You direct what we talk about, how we talk about it, and how long we talk about it. Yeah, we're going to book guests and we're going to have certain topics that we're going to discuss, but we're not coming in here every day with an agenda of what we're going to talk about and what we're going to spoon feed you on what you should know or expect to know about whatever's going on. So if you guys would like to pivot a conversation of what we're doing, we welcome that. That's why we tell you the phone number every single day. There are shows in America that will not take a phone call. There are shows in America that will not read the text line. That's their prerogative. That won't be my prerogative as long as I'm on the radio. We did it with Paul Feinbaum.
Me either.
We do it with Three Man Front. And until this company says that that's not what you're going to do, then that's probably the day that I'm not doing this any longer.
But it's the lifeblood of what we do. If you don't have listeners, if you don't have that interaction, if you don't have that back and forth, that's a presentation. That's not a conversation, and this is a discussion. It's a conversation. We approach this every day like we're sitting around a table or maybe at a bar or a tavern, and we're talking about life, and we're talking about stuff that relates to not only us, but all of you, because we are a part of you.
Yeah, and the biggest difference now in today's society is whether you agree with the Democrats or you agree with the Republicans or you're an Alabama fan or an Auburn fan. Back in the day, you could have a disagreement and you could agree to disagree and you could have a conversation, but that didn't mean that you didn't love your neighbor.
No.
Didn't mean that you wanted to take a rifle and do something because he had a different opinion than you. That's not the way that this country was founded. Yeah, we have discourse at times, but we all know it's united we stand and divided we fall.
And diversity is healthy to a point. Now, divisiveness, when it comes and it starts provoking evil, and that's what we saw yesterday, and violence, there's no place for it. And I think we've seen enough of that.
Yeah, zero. I mean, just if you have a disagreement with somebody, then agree to disagree. But
right.
But taking up violence against anybody, and we've seen it happen to liberal politicians. We've seen it happen to conservative politicians. I mean, there's just hate. It's a hateful world. Things happen, but enough's enough in regards to this divisiveness, because our enemies around the world are sitting there just laughing and licking their chops, knowing that we're sitting here internally going through all of this.
And if you're a person of faith, the true enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And this is exactly what he wants.
Very much so. Back to the text line we go at 205-834-9450. We will talk Florida LSU football coming up at the bottom of the hour.
Another one today. Remember the tragic events of 9/11. It's much more emotional because of the tragedy yesterday. No matter what, God has us all covered. Prayers for all the families that were impacted. God bless America. Thank you for that text. Another text just coming in. Thank you all for what you do. Best show on the radio. Thank you for the kind words. We'll continue to get to your text, and if you want to talk football, we can certainly do that. Scott's in Alpine, and he says, don't hate anything except for hatred. That's good. That's really good. 205-834-9450. We'll continue to take your text throughout the show. We do have a big show. David Waters, we had a discussion to lead off the show about a talk show host down in Jacksonville, Florida yesterday that brought up the potential, the hot seat. The seat is now getting warm again for Billy Napier following the loss. You look at the schedule, what he's got coming up this weekend and on down the line, potential replacements. We'll talk to David Waters, who, Pat, he's got his fingers on the pulse. He told us during the whole Dan Mullen saga when to expect it, and it was about midway through that season that he said, nope, temperature has changed. Feel like we could be getting some movement, and then you saw coordinators, staff members start to leave, and then ultimately it led to the Dan Mullins firing. But David's going to join us in just a few minutes, and be interesting to see how Scott Strickland, that administration, is Scott Strickland truly making the call on this one?
And it was disappointing because a lot of people were putting their faith in DJ Lagway, and he just did not look like himself against South Florida. And that's a credit to South Florida because defensively they were doing some things that made it difficult for Florida to have the success that they have been having under DJ Lagway as the starting quarterback, because up until the other day, they were averaging over 33 points a game when DJ Lagway was the starting quarterback. And you saw what happened as South Florida, the defense really put the hamper on him, and he just did not have the kind of day they had. And you go into a place where Brian Kelly is 16-1 in night games at Tiger Stadium. The one loss? Jalen Milroe and the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's an amazing record. 16-1 in night games under Brian Kelly at Tiger Stadium. It's a magical place.
It's a magical place.
They tell us that every year.
Yep.
Night games there at Tiger Stadium.
I forgot what guest we had yesterday, but they made the comment they didn't think that DJ Lagway was completely healthy. Something was off with him.
I think it was Trey Wallace, was it not?
Was it Trey that said that? You guys agree with that?
Yeah, maybe he's not 100% after fall camp, I mean, he started
Or it could
camp.
just be the fact that he got like 0 reps in spring, the entire offseason. He was hurt the whole offseason.
Yeah.
Needs the reps.
And we'll see if Garrett Nussmeier can, let's just face it. I know he played Clemson in week 1, but they should have padded numbers big time last week. And they didn't. They didn't run the ball good. Nussmeier's only thrown for 469 through the first 2 games. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So he's not putting up the Heisman-like numbers that you would think after 2 weeks.
I just last week and winning the game, did they blow them away? No, but as much build-up, as much emotion that went into that opening game, knowing what was on the line, hearing in the offseason about the opening game woes. Your coach's record in openers, knowing that Clemson was potentially a college football playoff champion pick by some, and going on the road. I think you put so much into that over the summer and game planning, and then you go out, you execute, you finally get over that mountain, and then you have to come back home and play a team from your state. We'll see what happens, but I think you're going to see the LSU team a lot like what we saw in week 1 versus week 2.
I'll say it, Garrett Nussmeier's no John Mateer. It is what it is. I'm just kidding. He's still pretty good, but yeah,
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's a
pretty
different
good.
type of player.
No, and he is, and the offense will certainly come along. But yeah, left a little something to be desired over the first couple weeks. I think that's perfectly fair to say because I mean he did come in with the expectation of it's going to be him or Arch to win the Heisman.
I would argue that Garrett Nussmeier has better weapons at his disposal.
I would agree with that.
We're 2 weeks in. Other guys can shine.
They got plenty of time. Yeah, defense looks good for LSU though. Kudos to that.
Tired of worrying about your roof, whether it's your family home or a commercial building? Abide Roofing delivers tailored solutions for every need. At Abide, it's more than just a new roof. It's about a team of highly qualified, local, skilled pros who bring their A game every single job. They work with precision and pride, using only the best materials to guarantee durability and lasting value. I'm a walking example of that. I've never been more pleased with something done at my house than getting a new roof. Travis Lloyd and his local roofing team at Abide Roofing and what they did for me. They dealt with my insurance company, which was a headache, but they took care of all of that, dealt multiple times on my roof, dealing with them in regards to the adjuster. 25 years of trusted experience there at Abide Roofing. We know that dealing with an insurance company can come with headaches like I experienced, but they will handle that for you. And they also provide you with comprehensive warranties on both products and craftsmanship that you're going to have the peace of mind moving forward. I'm not worried about it at all based on the guarantees and just the products that they put on my roof. So get started today with that free roof inspection, 205-941-6223. That's 205-941-6223. Or simply go to their website, abideroof.com.
Just how hot is Billy Napier's seat in Gainesville? David Waters, Gators Breakdown, tells us next on Three Man Front.
Well, as Tom Petty sang, the Gainesville native, and they sing it between the third and fourth quarter there in the swamp, we will go down to the great state of Florida and we'll talk to David Waters and get the pulse of what's going on with Billy Napier and the program that now is 20-20 in its last 40 games with Sunbelt Billy at the head.
Well, you want to boost your metabolic rate, maybe reduce pain in certain areas of your body, increase your strength, your balance, and flexibility. I got just the place. It's Mandu in downtown Homewood. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. It's all FDA approved. It doesn't hurt. But Mandu is a great way to efficiently use your time and get results. I've gotten results. A lot of other Jocks listeners have gotten results as well. They're going to go into Mandu. Your first visit is free. They're going to put you in a suit, hook you up to a machine that sends electric pulses to various parts of your body. Then they put you through a 15-minute workout. I said 15, not 50. 15 minutes of your day, equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Because of that technology, it works. Trust me on this. Mandu in downtown Homewood. Tell Paul and his great staff that Landrum from Jock sent you. You're going to get 10% off not only your first month membership, but the life of your membership at Mandu. MANDUU.com. Again, tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
All right, let's go down to the state of Florida to find out the very latest about the Florida Gators as they get ready to go down to Baton Rouge and take on the LSU Bengal Tigers in the first Southeastern Conference game for those two schools. Joining us, David Waters from the Gators Breakdown podcast. David, I hope things are going well, and just like they are in the western side of the state of Alabama, a little bit of hand-wringing going on for the Tide, and I'm sure the same could be said about the team that you cover, the Florida Gators.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of suffered that first loss earlier in the season than many Gator fans thought. This was supposed to be the season Billy Napier could ease into the season a little bit. You didn't open up with Utah. You didn't open up with Miami. You opened up with LIU and USF. And then in game two, USF decides not to play along and comes to the swamp and hands Florida the first loss of the season. What perturbs Gator Nation the most was it was a loss that just kind of looked like so many other losses under Billy Napier. It was the following the pattern of questionable play calling, so many penalties, not looking prepared, not look like you're ready to play, and you could say that for almost any big program that loses a game like that to what you perceive as a smaller program, but it's just followed the pattern no matter who Florida was playing in losses like that. Many of the same things popped up. So whether it just asks and begs the question, is just what Florida is going to be under Billy Napier, a style of ball that really just doesn't really separate from anybody.
David, we knew that for Florida to have ultimate success, their quarterback DJ Lagway, he's going to be a big reason why. We had a guest on yesterday that said just something about that's catching their eye about DJ Lagway. We know with the injuries in the offseason, but he just doesn't look like he's at top form. You're somebody who has watched him play as much as anyone. What can you tell us, and have you noticed anything about a difference in his play now versus last season when he was healthy?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell because, he ended last season playing hurt. So, but you were able to get by it because you were able to lean on a run game and a strong defense. But you can certainly tell that I think the time missed. The step that he might need to take in mechanics, the step that he might need to take in getting a rapport with his receivers, a step that he might need to take in, more than mental reps. Yes, he got all kinds of mental reps in spring and fall camp, but that's not translating. There are some easy reads he's missing. There are some easy throws that he's missing, and quite surprising. But maybe it is that time off, that he is still a young quarterback and maybe needed that time, but it's certainly alarming may not be the right word, but certainly noticeable that he hasn't taken the step yet. And I think many are just hoping it's because he missed that time. And then when's the flip going to switch? Do you really expect it to flip on the road in Baton Rouge against LSU, on the road against Miami the very next week when the home performances have looked like this? So it's certainly I still have confidence DJ Lagway can get there, but the team around him is going to, I think, have to play well till he gets to that point, and then maybe Florida can take off. But you just hope the hole is not dug too far by the time he gets there.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball because we all know that defense does travel in the Southeastern Conference, and Florida has just allowed one rushing touchdown and I believe under 3 yards per carry against the run in the last 6 games. Going down to Baton Rouge, do you think the defense is going to be able to maybe keep Nussmeier at bay and keep this a ball game going into the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I mean, you go back to a year ago in this game against LSU, and that's kind of when the defense have been playing better, but this was kind of their statement game. LSU coming in, not really giving up a ton of sacks last year, and I believe Florida had 6 or 7 sacks last year against LSU, and now it's a retooled offensive line for LSU that hasn't really shown much in the first 2 games. So yeah, that's what you have to hang your hat on. You have to hope that you get a repeat performance. Caleb Banks is back this week. Hadn't played in the first 2 games for Florida. Florida has been strong up front. That front 7, counting the linebackers with Jaden Robinson and Miles Graham as well, has played well these first 2 games. Not so much in the clutch last week and some boneheaded penalties to go along with it, but as far as down to down, this has been a really good defense dating back to about midseason of last year. So it's certainly I think lends itself to, if Flagway is going to struggle, and if Florida, probably will rely on the ground game a bit to not let this game get away from them, the defense is going to have to play like they have been recently.
David, as far as people that matter, I'm guessing we're including Athletic Director Scott Strickland. How much equity does Billy Napier have left? What does that look like? What has to happen this season for Billy Napier to remain the head coach at Florida?
I think the way they view it and liking Billy Napier so much, I think an 8-4 season is there for him to stay. 7-5 starts raising the questions. Anything below that, fair game, and he's probably on the way out. Personally for me, with the way this has looked, it's playoff or bust. I think we've too much evidence to look at it and say Billy Napier can ever be a championship level head coach. You still got a lot of games to play, and maybe he does turn this thing around. And I look foolish right now, but can he do that 2 years in a row? I think that's the big question here, and a lot of evidence will probably say no. We'll see how this team performs, but I think if you look at it and what Scott Strickland will do in looking at making the decision, I think it's got to be because the way the good feelings of the administration towards Billy Napier, 8-4, he's safe. Anything besides that, and you might be having the conversation of looking for a next head coach.
In regards to his bullheadedness, he is very reluctant to give up the play calling on the offense. Do you think at some point this season, if things continue to slide, do you think that he would give that up, or is he going to go down with the ship?
I think he goes down with the ship. It probably should have been done by now as far as giving up the play calling duties. But he's admitted himself that that's what the part of the game he enjoys. He enjoys being a play caller, and I guess at the detriment of this offense not taking the next step. It's not like the offense is bad. For so long of it, it was the defense was a terrible side of the ball. And if you if you compare that. If you can raise the defense and pair it with the offense we've seen so far, Florida wasn't winning a championship, but Florida was going to be a much better team. Well, now the defense has kind of, found itself, and then the offense is taking some steps back, and surprisingly with what you had coming back this year. It's just the inconsistency of it. You either drive to drive or game to game. You don't know what you're getting as far as consistency goes with this offense. So, and then, as we mentioned, so many penalties and so many game management mistakes. If you just give up the play calling, would the overall just game management look better? And we know that's what he loves to do. I just don't see him giving it up, and he goes down with the ship.
This Saturday night, Death Valley, tall order for Billy Napier and the Gators. In your mind, how can you see this playing out? And David Waters, how much optimism do you have that the Gators go in there and steal a win?
Optimism that they steal a win, not that high. Optimism that they play better and make it a game, I think is still pretty high. I mean, it's hard to erase what I thought about this team 2 weeks ago, even given what we saw last Saturday. I think Florida's defense will keep them in it. Can they find something in the ground game, to help out? I think it's the biggest question for me. I think they are going to have to run the ball, given the performance of Lagway so far. So to me, it's about running the ball, and this defense just kind of keeping them in it like they did last year, and they walked away with an 11-point win. But in the end, I just think it'll be too much Tigers, and LSU makes the big plays at the end.
David Waters joins us from the Gators Breakdown podcast. And before we let you go, we would be remiss if we did not ask you about the stories that have been percolating in regards to John Gruden potentially would be a name that maybe Florida potentially would be interested in if Billy Napier was shown the door. Do you think that is a legitimate name if the decks are cleared off and Napier is no longer the head coach? What kind of names would you anticipate, legitimate names, that could be up for that job?
Yeah, with the Gruden stuff has certainly come out. I think he might be on the list. I don't think he'd be very high. I think Florida had to miss on some people to get to there. He is, voice. He loved to coach in the SEC. It's just, yeah, he won a Super Bowl. That was so long ago. That was with Tony Dungy's players. I don't see it as a good fit for Florida, but it would certainly be polarizing for sure. Yeah. I haven't gotten too far into the board again, but if we go back to a year ago, of course, Lane Kiffin's name's still going to be on there, and I think he'd like a chance at Florida. So I don't know if he'd like the chance to work with Scott Strickland or not. But does Florida go P4 route again? That's the question. And like some are all from Tulane, but do you really want to go to a small school Louisiana again and then bring somebody in? Do you go to coordinator route? Is it a Schumann at Georgia or Will Stein at Oregon? There's some many routes. There's no right way, wrong way to look at it. But I think most Gator Nation wants a kind of proven Power 4 name. And right now, I don't know if there's many out there that would make the jump from where they're at to go to Gainesville.
James Franklin, if he was willing to get back down to the South and get back in the SEC, would that be something that excited Florida Gator fans?
We brought him up on my Discord channel as a conversation piece. I'd be for it. It's pretty split. It is the thought he can't get over the big one at Penn State, so why would he be able to get over the big one at Florida? So maybe a change of scenery would do it. James Franklin. I think Brent Key at Georgia Tech is an interesting name too if he continues to raise that program a bit. But of course he's got connections there. So would he leave Atlanta to go to Gainesville? So those are two I think along with Lane Kiffin that I think would probably head a lot of the list up.
I'm just going to speak for Brent Key. I think he would leave Atlanta to go to Gainesville. What about you, Pat? You're a trustful guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Hewitt trustful guy, and I think Brent, of course, Georgia Tech's his alma mater.
Yeah.
But, depends on how much Georgia Tech is willing to play the NIL game, and I think that would be a better situation in Gainesville than Atlanta.
This is going to be a popular conversation next week after he beats Clemson.
Oh, wow, you're already calling it. Hey, David, listen, we know it's a busy time. We appreciate you always joining us and giving us the pulse of what's going on down there in the wonderful Sunshine State. And I think it's going to be a good game this weekend. I think Florida's defense is really good, and I think Nussmeier, for whatever reason, just hadn't popped yet. So I think it might be another week or two before he gets going. So I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think you brought up Nussmeier. We talked about Lagway earlier too. I think it is which quarterback right now they're not hitting the explosives. What quarterback does? I think it's going to be an explosive late in the game, and whatever quarterback hits that might be the winner.
All right, David Waters, Gators Breakdown at @GatorDave_SEC on X. David, we always appreciate the time. Thank you. Enjoy the weekend. Try to at least, right?
Yes, for sure. Thanks, guys.
David Waters on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham's your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. From Gainesville, we go to Tuscaloosa at the top of the hour. Rodney or Tighter Insider breaking down, previewing the matchup with those stinking Badgers. Three-man front continues on Jocks.
Great conversation with David Waters. If you missed that, you can always go and download the Three Man Front podcast. Coming up at the top of the hour, we will go to Tuscaloosa, talk to Rodney Orr from Tider Insider. Let me tell you about my friends over at Artec Tractor in Jasper. They're your local family-owned dealer from Mahindra. The toughest tractors on earth. Artec has the new groundbreaking 1100 and 2100 series compact tractors, and now with 0% financing for 84 months plus $2,000 cash back. There's no reason to wait. Stop by Artec Tractor in Jasper. See Jeremy and Greg for a test drive or see their complete inventory at artectractor.com. Mahindra Tractors outworking the field.
David Waters, he gave the schedule results. The win-loss total, in his opinion, where Billy Napier is safe. 8-4 is safe. 7-5, it gets murky, and then anything below that, it's fair game. Interesting his thoughts on John Gruden and how that would be interesting, but probably not their top choice. So Gator football potentially once again in flux, as I'm just looking at it. They have 8 teams left. 8 teams left currently ranked in the top 20 on their schedule.
So if we assume
almost
they get,
half of the top 20 is left on their schedule.
I was about to say, so if we assume that they get the not ranked opponents left on their schedule, they would still have to win what? Go 5-3 against ranked opponents to get to that 8-4 mark to where Billy would be safe.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And if DJ Lagway doesn't play better, then like we were talking about yesterday with what the new win total for them is 5.5, I believe, in Las Vegas.
Well,
it's going to be tough to get over that if DJ Lagway doesn't get better.
and the way that it looks right now, one of your rivalry games in Georgia, we know how that's gone most years.
You probably mark the Florida State game as a win heading into the season, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. That one right now, you would give the edge to Florida State. I would anyways.
Yep.
And then this is a mini rivalry, but it's a fun one with LSU. So you drop all of those. On top of that, the team from your own state down the road, South Florida, that loss,
They're the 4th best team in their state right now.
I don't know how he survives that.
No.
Well, last year we thought looking at the schedule was like, oh, there's no way he's going to survive that back end of the schedule. And he did. I mean, they thrived. I mean, Lagway came into his own. I mean, everybody was like, oh, my goodness. Look at this Florida team. We got a completely different thought process in regards to the 2025 version of the Florida Gators. And then now you're back to basically where you were at the beginning of last year, which was, oh, my gosh, this schedule the rest of the way is going to be brutal. Don't think he's going to be able to survive. But that was interesting that he brought up Brent Key's name. I'll be honest, I personally did not think about Brent Key as potentially being a place. Because when it's all said and done, and I know Brent loves his alma mater. I'm not speaking for Brent. I'm just based on the fact of I know some guys that have played for Brent over at Georgia Tech. I mean, he's a Georgia Tech guy. But at some point in time, as we all know, Georgia Tech is not going to be able to compete with a major Southeastern Conference school when you talk about facilities. I mean, up until a couple of years ago, Georgia Tech didn't even have like a dining hall for their football players. I'm not kidding. Like, they gave their football players basically gift cards to go places and eat. Like, you go to Alabama and Auburn, you've got a nutritionist. Mm-hmm. You've got someone that is basically making sure that you're eating the right foods. Instead, at Georgia Tech a couple of years ago, they were giving out food cards to different restaurants around Midtown. That's how they were paying their football players. I mean, feeding their football players. I mean, and you're leaving up to an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid
to go and make good decisions about
what
like, to put in their body.
I'm at the varsity.
Absolutely.
Like every
of
day.
course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, steady diet of chili cheese dogs. Give me a burger. Give me some fries to wash it down.
Yeah.
I was about to say, do the offensive linemen get extra gift cards? How does that work?
But see, but that's my point.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not. It might be different now. It was that way a couple of years ago. So if you're Georgia Tech and you're Brent Key and you have an opportunity to go to Florida,
some of these nutrition centers, especially in the SEC, they're over the top. Multiple carving stations.
Oh, the
any kind of food that you can think of, any kind of, if you have any kind of an allergy or dietary restriction, they got all of that covered. It's
the best.
It's really impressive.
Well, I mean, Friday's the best day of the week for a lot of people, right? Because it starts the weekend. But in college, on Fridays, I don't know if they still do this, but when I was in school, you got to go eat with the football team. You could go eat at the dining hall with the football players in Alabama.
They did not offer that when I was at school.
Yeah, I would eat steak for breakfast on a Friday morning. It was fantastic. They had lobster for breakfast.
Wow.
For breakfast?
For breakfast. Lobster.
Never
and
done
steak.
lobster for breakfast, but I'd do it.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, you'd just be sitting there because you could only do it on Fridays. But yeah, students could go and you could eat at the football dining hall with the players on Friday
Would you bring your
mornings.
backpack with a Tupperware in it?
No, but I should have.
I got 3 lobsters for the weekend.
Yeah.
Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider, what he saw last week, what he's hearing, and we preview the game versus Wisconsin with the Badgers rolling in. Some Wisconsin folks already here. Welcome to our great state. 3-man front on this Thursday. You're home for college football and more. Jocks.